if you want to be able to enhance your relationship with someone, if you want to be able to deepen your connection, for it to expand, for it to grow, most of us have heard the advice for, I don't know, since the beginning of time, that communication is key. Well, it's no different when it comes to your relationship with money. If you do not invest time, energy, and intention to learn how to communicate with the energy of money, how you react to it, how you respond to it, how you talk about it, how you feel around it, and really psychoanalyze yourself and your responses to it, you're not going to be able to build that strong connection with it. And therefore, you're not going to be able to be a container to receive more of it, which is the goal of this 4-part series, the 4 money languages. This is part 3, the freedom seeker. And if you identify as a creative, as a multi-passionate, you will have your mind blown and feel so validated and have new tools to be able to really call in the money and feel safe with asking for what you want and receiving it. Can't wait for you to dive in.
If you're tired of hearing the same old basic mindset and motivational fluff talk, you've come to the right show. Welcome to Project Me with Tiffany Carter, the podcast, where we dish on everything from managing that crazy brain of yours to manifesting abundance to my straightforward, actionable steps that will make you major money online. Now, I'm not your typical multimillionaire entrepreneur. It takes a small village to keep my anxiety and depression in check. I'm inherently disorganized with an intense obsession with office supplies. Your girl here is a digital marketing content expert who's generated over $200 million in sales. I promise by tuning in twice a week, you will get a much needed refreshing dose of truth, clarity, and cash making advice. Now let's get to it.
What up, my people, my posse, my fellow crazies? It's your host, Tiffany Carter, and this is the show that is going to help you grow your business, your bank account, that big, beautiful brain of yours, your relationships, your abundance, and everything in between. If you are watching right now on ProjectME TV, you are getting a show and tell. So something that I do in order to spark creativity for all of the content that I create, all the episodes that I bring you here, and just to keep like that creative mind going, because we can get content fatigue. That's why I talk about the content monster all the time. We need to find ways to re-inspire and re-motivate ourselves, and we can't be dependent on external factors to do so. That should be an episode in of itself. I have a video that is going viral right now on TikTok at Project Me with Tiffany. Go follow me over there, and on Instagram at Project Me with Tiffany as well, where I'm talking about how we outsource our motivation. We outsource our belief in ourselves. We outsource our validation. We outsource our inspiration. Big, big trouble. I used to do this as well, and it doesn't work. It's one of the biggest things that I shifted in order for me to go from thousandaire to multimillionaire. And I'll be doing an episode that shares these key things that I did and really simplify them, because anyone can apply them. It does take some like mental gymnastics and discipline, especially if you're an overthinker, overanalyzer, somewhat crazy person like me. But I know you can do it. This is a long way of me saying that I went to the dollar store. I actually went on Thanksgiving. In the US, it was just Thanksgiving here. And I knew that the stores would be pretty vacant, and most of them are closed. But I trust it whenever I get a gut instinct. Like, who gets a gut instinct to go to the dollar store? That's very random. That's not normal for me. And so I trust that it happened for a reason. And I was going to go pick something up from like the regular grocery store. And I was like, no, you need to go to the dollar store first. And let me tell you, this dollar store was popping. It's you want to go to a dollar store in a kind of a near a wealthy neighborhood adjacent, which is what this was. They had some really good stuff. So I got all excited because they had all these different like Christmas festivity type things. And I was like, oh, how fun. I could get like, and I saw this gold sparkle sequin Santa hat that I'm wearing right now. And yes, if you want to see it, Project Me TV on YouTube, it could be worth it. I'm just saying, because it's hysterical. And I was like, I got this. I got like some other fun things. I was like, oh, but I could just make it fun, just wearing different stuff. It seems like you guys find it interesting. Like, where is Tiffany going to be recording the show from? What is she going to be wearing? And it just makes it more fun for me. Like, who doesn't feel good wearing like a random accessory? This fucking hat is so tight on my head. It is made for an elf. And it only fits literally at just at the top of my head. There will probably be like a full on line, like kind of like when you wear like tight jeans and then you go to take them off and like the full seam of the jean is like deeply grooved in your skin. Yeah, our male listeners may or may not know about that because apparently we women do weird shit for fashion that makes us actually miserable, which I try not to do anymore. Hence why I am doing this episode wearing a sweatshirt I got from my friend Regina Lawrence's Breathe Retreat. I've probably been wearing this sweatshirt for, I don't know, a solid 3 days now. And snowflake pajama pants. So we're really sexy over here. But I think it's so funny. I mean, it like I do have a big head, but wow, this is tight. But I had to wear, I was committed. I was willing to rip the back for you guys. But that's just a little fun behind the scenes tip for you that if you are needing some motivation, some inspiration, whether it's a new business, your existing business, something you're creating, go to Sephora, go for a little trip to an area like that is very different from your normal surroundings. Like go to Koreatown, go to like the Thai area of your city. And if you're like, girl, I live somewhere where it's like white bread, middle America, USA. All right, well, then go to a store, go to a coffee shop, go somewhere you don't normally go to and get inspiration from other stuff, other packaging. Because listen, everyone has a 99-cent store or a Walmart or something. There's always somewhere to gather great inspiration from. And this goes with this episode because for part 3 of the 4 money languages, the freedom seeker, these are my multi-passionates. There is nothing more important to a multi-passionate than not being controlled, not being trapped, and needing to scratch the itch on the things that really interest you. And then there's also madness that occurs because there's so many things that interest you that you don't know where to start and which one to monetize and how can you monetize them all at once. And then you have all of these like incomplete start projects all over the place. But in your mind, you really, really want all of them and intended for all of them to work and to be complete, but you see that they're not, and it really causes a shitstorm in your brain. So we're going to dig into that. One place for you, if your mind is like this, where you're overwhelmed with all the noise out there, all that you're consuming, how can I make money doing this? How can I do all these multiple things that I really want to do without confusing my people? How can I stay on track? Because I tend to get off track. I tend to get shiny object syndrome so quickly. What can I do to keep my shit together? You know, if you're someone who's like, listen, I know that if I had a very, very clear plan in front of me, I had accountability, all the noise was cut out, I would actually follow through and do it as long as the person I was learning from wasn't full of shit and was actually fun. I've got it for you. There's no better time than now to create a new money story for yourself, to turn your passion and your multi-passions into a thriving business that brings in a minimum of consistent $15,000 months. Imagine waking up each morning excited and inspired because your business not only provides you that option level cash, while it is helping hundreds and even thousands of people. That's what the ProjectME Posse business coaching membership is all about. It's your key to unlocking that success that you've been craving and you know is there for you. You just need help with the navigation. It's kind of like if you go on the Waze app or go on Google Maps and it gives you like 7 different ways to get somewhere. Oh my God, look how much longer it takes you to figure out which way to go. And then all the different ways, or most of them, take about the same time or within 10 minutes of each other. So which one do I take? And then it can just feel like too much. Well, we just need to cut out the noise. There is a lot of noise out there. And I want you to know that you're not alone. You're not the only one. I coach hundreds and thousands of you. So what we do in there is we dive deep into creating compelling, profitable content that resonates with your audience. And it's not just any content. It's the kind that sparks conversations and creates connections and drives sales. Because without sales, you don't have a business. You have a time and energy sucking hobby, which I call a jobby. I also teach you how to package and price your offers so they're irresistible to your ideal clients, email marketing that actually works, how to stand out in a highly saturated industry, and so much more. And speaking of sales, right now is my biggest Black Friday sale of all time, and there's only a few days left. So you get $2,200 in free high-end bonuses. So my winning launch formula masterclass, which comes with a launch planning workbook for all of your launches. This goes for digital programs. It could go for retreats. It can go for courses. It can go for coaching. It can go for even a new brick and mortar store. It applies to all of it. My ideal client magnifier system in order to grow your audience with people who you actually want to fucking work with and deal with. And that comes with a printable workbook. Plus, my most popular course bundle ever, which is my content creation made easy bundle. And it includes my exact printable content planner that I use. So you can join my ProjectME Posse business coaching membership today. There's only a few new member spots left because the sale is almost over. And I don't just randomly open up new spots. We keep this membership at an intimate size. This way you have the accountability. It feels safe. It's supported. You get your questions answered during our weekly lives. And it doesn't feel like you're lost in a crowd of thousands and thousands of people. So let's turn your aspirations into achievements, your dreams into a reality. We'll conquer the hurdles, celebrate the victories, and pave your way to 15K months and beyond. Go to projectmewithtiffany.com/Black Friday. Ooh, I almost screwed it up. projectmewithtiffany.com/Black Friday. You can swipe up, and that direct link is inside the show notes. It's in the description on YouTube. All the bonuses and the $50 off your first month is automatically applied at checkout. So normally the first month is $150 as that introduction fee, and you're getting that for $100. So you're getting $50 off the first month. It's only $3.33 a day. I know, insane. All right, let's get into this. My multi-passionate. I love you guys so much. People have asked me, do you identify, Tiff, as a multi-passionate? I don't know. I don't know if I do. There are a lot of things I'm interested in. I think that it's kind of like when you look at astrology, right? Like I'm a hardcore Virgo, but I do get saved by, and I'm going to screw up what my rising is and all that stuff. I have it down somewhere. I know I have Gemini, and I believe I have Sagittarius in my chart. Now, I love my Sag. If you're a Sag, multi-passionate, oh, I love you guys. I know you guys so well. It's so difficult. There's so many things you love. There's a lot of things you're good at. And we've got to be careful, because if you're the jack of all trades, master of none, or if that's what people perceive you, no one remembers you, and it doesn't stick for you to be being good at any like one main thing. And then no one comes to you for that thing. You actually lose so much money. And you think, well, God, the more things I'm passionate about and the more different things I tell people I do, isn't that more of an opportunity for me to make money? No, it's more of an opportunity to confuse people. But there is a way, because I know like the term for you freedom seekers, the thought of like niching gives you a rash because it makes you feel trapped and controlled. So this is one of the signs and symptoms that you have a predominant freedom seeker as your money language. Feeling trapped and controlled is like a hell no for you. You're actually more about the options and the freedom of controlling your schedule than you even are the money. So what I mean by that is you won't just do something for the money. And I don't mean like something shady, even something that's legit that would help a lot of people. But if it doesn't feel good to you, if it doesn't feel fun, if it doesn't feel expansive, if it doesn't feel light to you and you feel it's going to consume you, it is a hard no. I have one of my key people on my team is definitely freedom seeker, without a doubt. And if she's listening, I'm curious if she self-identifies as that. I would type her as that, as the coach. And I know that about her. And so she's like, well, she'll constantly have, it'll look like on the outside, almost like people talk about artists where you probably have this in your family where people will look on the outside. It's like, oh, so-and-so's, Sarah's always doing something. Sarah's always up to something. Oh, John's always doing something new. You know how he is. And it can feel like you're being judged by people. Some people might be judging you because you do look kind of whack to people that don't resonate with that language, right? Just like everything else, like where I'm comparing this to the 5 love languages, right? Someone who absolutely does not enjoy verbal expression, receiving or giving love in that way, when they watch movies where someone is so prolifically expressing their love verbally, it can feel gross to them. It can feel weird. It can be like, it's so foreign. Well, it's no different with these money languages. I very much understand you. My point when I was saying about astrology, which I do think is a really good metaphor for you guys to best utilize these 4 money languages as a tool, is that we have these other components to our astrology chart. So if I was like just a Virgo, that's it. And it would be like a coloring book that just like looking at a page in a coloring book, like in my Make More Work Less guided workbook course, I have these great abundant coloring pages. It's kind of like in there, if you don't color them in, like you'll still see the picture and it will still make sense to you, but it's not going to vibrate off the page, if you add the color. So these other elements to us, it's what colors our personality. If I was just a Virgo, oh my God. I mean, that would be too rigid, too straightforward. Where would be that like creativity in that? But that's why I feel I attract so many of you multi-passionate, so many of you who I lovingly say my crazy brain people, where you're just so overwhelmed and you're an overthinker. And a lot of you identify with ADD or ADHD, is because I can ground you while still understanding you, because I have that in me, but because of that strong Virgo side of me, and because I'm so rooted, I can like tame the beast, so to speak. And that's all we need to do for the freedom seeker. You need someone to help you tame the beast that is in that energetic, passionate mind where there's all these things you want to do and you don't feel there's enough time in the day to do them. And then one day you feel inspired to do this one thing, and then the next day you don't, and you have all these incomplete projects all over the place. Maybe you're someone where your desk looks crazy. Like I'm in my main podcast studio right now. It looks crazy in here. But if you go to look at, like, I'm thinking of my stepfather who passed, Warren. He was a multi-passionate. I mean, if I explain that to him to this day, he would definitely nod his head. And his office looked insane. He collected things. He collected beer steins, like antique beer steins. He had piles and piles of magazines and newspapers. And then he did the stock market, but then he was also passionate about cars. He had all these things and he could not be controlled. He didn't go to college. That felt being trapped and controlled to him. And he could have, but he did not. When he did work for someone else, before he started working for himself, he chose a hybrid, probably subconsciously. I mean, we've talked about it in later years, but where he did like outside sales. So technically, yes, he was selling someone else's shit, but he still had the freedom of making pretty much no income cap and working for himself and being out in the field all day. So likely you have chosen even professions that you may or may not be thrilled with today because it scratched that freedom seeker itch. Real estate agents, common freedom seekers, people in network or affiliate marketing, a lot of people who are attracted to the online space, the influencer space, the coaching world, all of that stuff, because you want to be able to make money, but while continuing to feel like you're the only person who's in control of when you work, how you work, where you are in the world. So many people can mistake you for even being flaky. And the truth is that you have so many interests and there's so much going on in that mind of yours. And you then have the guilt because you know you've really not flushed any one of those things out to its fullest potential. And then you have that weighing on you on top of everything else. The reality is you want to be able to have the options to live life on your terms, to provide for the people you love on your terms. Where does this stuff stem from? You hear me talk about this in other episodes in here and on social media where this comes back. It comes back to your childhood. It comes back to where you grew up, how you grew up, the direct messages, the indirect messages, the energy, the vibe even going on. It doesn't need to be so cut and dry as, well, no one ever put me down, or people actually encouraged all of my creative aspirations. There's other tricky ways that this kind of thing could have messed with you, right? Maybe you had a sibling or siblings or most people in your family had a conventional profession. I'm not going to say her name, but I'm thinking of a beautiful friend of mine where it was a family of doctors, of medical professionals. So it was expected. And there was an undertone that if you didn't do it, you wouldn't be as respected, but it wasn't overtly said. So she followed suit and was so unhappy and was part of a system that, knowing her now is just the opposite of how her mind works, and even in her beliefs and even where she stands on certain things when it comes to health. And now she has unraveled that and is pursuing her passion, but needed help in that area. When you're trading your time for money, even if it's something that you love doing, but it's all your time for money, you are not getting the freedom. You may have intended and went into a certain profession to get the freedom. I went into, the world of pharmaceutical sales with the intention of freedom. Now, was that more freeing than me being a TV newscaster? Absolutely. As a TV newscaster, you're being told what to say, what to wear, how to look. Everything's controlled and it's contractual, and what to read, all of it. And so, yes, it felt more freeing to me to be in like outside sales, so to speak, because you had a home office. I didn't have to go into a desk. I didn't have to like clock in somewhere. However, it was just the same, right? I recreated the same feeling that I had in childhood of being trapped and controlled and having to do something in order to make money, in order to survive, in order to do just because. So if you recreated something, and maybe you're already out of it and you're looking back, maybe you're in it now, but have you recreated how you felt in childhood with your own vocation, with your own profession? I did. I had to trade lots of things that I didn't like doing and put on masks that I didn't like, that weren't me, in order to not get fired, in order to make money, in order to pay bills, in order to succeed. And that is exactly what my childhood was like, growing up with a narcissist mom in a highly abusive environment. I didn't realize that it was subconscious. And so some of you as freedom seekers, at some point you rebel, which I did, right? Then you find ways to rebel. Some of you have gotten fired. You rebel by maybe acting out in your personal life, which is what I did. So I acted out by I would go party. I would go on these big trips and like say, fuck everything. And there was a lot of acting out going on because I needed to feel like I was free, even though I created a situation, innocently where I was trapped. So let's set ourselves free today. You can set yourself free, but not if you're out there flailing. So many people that come to me end up quitting this job where they felt controlled, leaving a partner where they felt controlled, an environment where they felt controlled. They know, what you don't want to feel anymore, right? You don't want to trade all your time for money anymore. You don't want you don't want to have to work be the priority and then get a little bit of living in, right? Like your ratio, most of us, especially in the US, our ratio, and Canada too, our ratio is off. It's like 80% work, 20% living. And I'm not saying 20% work, 80% living. Like you can get to a point like that with enough passive income streams. Absolutely. But the real key is let's create a passionate vocation, not a career, but let's build your calling and monetize your calling. And you know how they say when you do something you love, it's like you're never working again. I don't think that's true because there's stuff that you have to do no matter how passionate you are. I've interviewed actors. I've had conversations with people who are paid music artists, comedians, doing something you would look at that's like, oh, wow, that's a dream job. Influencers, content creators. Maybe I have the dream job for you. I basically talk and create content and teach things for a living, speak on stages, all of that stuff. But of course, there's weeks where it feels like heavy and it's a lot of work. That's true reality. But you don't feel trapped by it when you are pursuing and getting very well paid for your calling. And we just have this ratio that's off because there's almost a persona with a freedom seeker that resembles the starving artist persona, right? I'm having on, I believe it's next week, I'm having her on, a friend of mine who she makes money as a music artist. Just a gorgeous, gorgeous voice. I'm actually going to see if she can give me one of her releases so that we can put it into the episode as well. And it's like, we have to give ourselves permission to set ourselves free. But the hard part is when freedom for you is, I want to do spiritual retreats. I want to teach people yoga. I want to sing for a living. I want to create my art for a living. But we've been conditioned by centuries that the artist is starving. I mean, going back and like even watching these shows, I think of like The Crown, you go and look at these shows that were set back in time, right? And like the artist is like almost like a high-end servant to the wealthy. So this has been heavily ingrained multi-generations, right? That's like when you're, you can't make that much money. And it's simply not true. It's not true anymore. We're in a completely new era where you can make money truly doing that calling, but you've got to let go of that story that freedom seekers tend to create around money. That like money is the thing that's going to trap you, that there's something about money that's going to control you because it has maybe controlled you in the past, or you've watched and witnessed a parent or a close friend or a partner be controlled by money. So you subconsciously and sometimes consciously see money as a warning sign. Like almost there's a rebellion against it. I will not be controlled by you. I'm not going to want you so badly. I'm not going to desire you so much because I don't want to be controlled by my lack of it or having a lot of it. And you have that going on energetically. And when that's going on, of course, you're not going to be able to bring in the money for the things that you want to do and the gifts that you want to provide with the world, which is why I'm doing this series so you can recognize it. So my main directive for my freedom seekers, there's a couple things. One, without a doubt, you need to be inside my ProjectME Posse business coaching membership. Number one, it's my biggest sale all year. I don't do anything like this for the entire year. Get in there. It's month to month, or you can do the year option. The year option, you save even more money. It's like 200 and something, even more dollars. It's crazy. So do the year option if you really want to be like, be committed that you're doing things differently going into 2024 and throughout 2024. Or if you're someone, because you're a freedom seeker who doesn't want to feel trapped or controlled, I have a month to month option. And that's why I do that. And you can cancel at any time. You're not going to want to. I have people in there for years, which is why there's only just a handful of new membership spots left because people don't leave the posse. If you go to the page and it says, it's full, that's because there's no new spots left. You can check back every couple of days, but usually when we're doing a Black Friday sale, there are no new spots left. I know right now, as of this recording, there are some. So go to projectmewithtiffany.com/Black Friday, swipe up, links and show notes in description on YouTube. The reason is this is really designed for you and it's a no-brainer. So I have people in there that have done other programs of mine that have also done my Make More, Work Less new guided workbook course, which is an absolute no-brainer must. It is $200 off right now. And you need to get that. And that's projectmewithtiffany.com/make more work less. So get in an environment where you're working with someone who understands your brain, who you find interesting. And if you're listening to this episode, there's something about the way I explain shit that your brain likes and understands it. So don't force yourself to listen or read or consume content from people who might be very popular, might be very successful, even in the area that, in the industry that you're in. If it just doesn't land, it's okay. That's why there's room for all of us here. Some of the most famous authors in the world on manifestation, they're too almost like intelligent and boring to me. That doesn't mean I don't respect them. They're just not the best people for me. So go inside the posse. The second thing is this. I want you to look at all these things that you're trying to create that you want to do. We're going to put them all under an umbrella. Look at all of them as like the top of an umbrella, right? Whatever we call that, the canopy of the umbrella. And then you have the actual, whatever you want to call it, the stick, the rod that you hold the umbrella with. The rod you're holding that canopy up with is your brand, whether it's a personal brand or, it's a brand that you're the founder of, but you're the creative director of behind the scenes. That's the common theme. All these things that you love are the canopy of the umbrella that are supported by your brand. Maybe you need to go open a fucking umbrella, not inside the house, because I guess that's bad luck. Now I have Rihanna's song stuck in my head. And no, I won't sing it. But take a look at all these things that you love. It's like, how could these all fit under one specific brand? What is the common kind of thread here that ties all these together? Even if it's loose, take a look at that. Look at all these stores that we go into. Look at fucking Target. We look at Costco. They sell everything in there. It's a perfect example of an umbrella. It's a perfect example of a multi-passionate mind. Look at TJ Maxx, my favorite, or Home Goods. Another example. But there's a common thread that holds the candles, the journals, the sofa, the blender, the coffee cups, the rugs, the towels that hold all of that together. That's what I want you to focus on. That's where your fucking money is at. It's that. You've been focusing all on the canopy of the umbrella and not the actual rod that holds the umbrella up. And the rod is the support. Without the rod, you don't have a fucking umbrella. You have a useless thing that you have to hold up with two hands. And that can only happen for so long before you get tired and it just doesn't work anymore. And in fact, that's what's trapping you because now you have no free hands. If we want to even go deeper with this analogy, have you seen the umbrellas that's a hat? And you wear a hat on your head. So now you don't even have to carry a rod. You are the walking rod. You look crazy, but both hands are free. I'm just I'm just saying, we could really go deep with that analogy. So getting true help and no nonsense guidance where someone is telling you deliberately what to focus on and what to let go on. Doing that, doing the umbrella for yourself. And the third thing is owning that you're a freedom seeker. Yeah, people are going to have lots of thoughts about you. They may have even put labels on you. You may have even heard in childhood people in your family putting labels on other freedom seekers and making judgments, which is where you've inherited some of these. You're likely judging yourself. People have judged you. And then what happens is we start then judging ourselves. What kinds of judgments are you placing on yourself for being this multi-passionate, for being this creative mind, for being this freedom seeker? Think of other people that are maybe public figures that you've admired, who are also freedom seekers, multi-passionates, that you look up to, that you're like, God, that person's such a great inspiration. Why can't fucking Rihanna be a music artist, have an incredible fucking makeup line, now a skincare line, and a lingerie line, and going into clothing? And I think she's in shoes, or she's going to go into shoes, and she has perfume. Perfect example. Why is that okay for them? Why do you admire those people who do that when you're actually the same? Your makeup is the same fucking way. So where have you been judging that freedom seeker within you? What are some of the freedom seekers that you admire? What is it you admire about them? And that's where you're going to start finding more compassion for yourself. So go get in the posse, projectmewithtiffany.com/Black Friday. Let me know what you thought about this episode. You can comment along on Project Me TV. Let me know right here in comments. That's actually is a really good way to help that mind of yours cement in information. That's why in the posse, when we do our live weekly trainings, constantly I'm having you guys type stuff and interact, as long as you're not driving or something. Even when you're watching the replays, it really helps keep that mind of yours engaged, and you get so much more out of it. It's one of the tricks that I do to manage your crazy asses. All right, share this special series with someone you love, someone who all finds all sorts of psychology and personality quizzes and stuff like that interesting, and see what they identify with and open up a conversation. That's why I created this. We all talk about, oh, what's your Myers-Briggs? What's your Enneagram? Are you an introvert? Are you an extrovert? What are your love languages? Well, we can't leave money out of the discussion any longer. That which we avoid, we repel. And we're not available for that anymore, are we? Wishing you great health, wealth, and worth as always. Love you. If you enjoyed this podcast, please write a 5-star review on iTunes. Not only will this make me super happy, but it will allow more listeners to find our special show. Simply help me help others.